The Seahawks have found a way to keep their season interesting by beating the 49ers and keeping themselves in the NFC West race. And now we get to go face another divisional opponent in the Arizona Cardinals and see if we have a chance to make a run at this NFC West.
Yeah, and big news on the podcast. Sammy will be getting married on Sunday. We might have our eyes for a second on the game, but I think Sammy's eyes is going to be on the bride as he's getting married. And we'll be rooting our Seahawks on by heart from Mexico. I'm not going to disclose the location. I don't want all the fanboys trying to crash your wedding, bro.
It's pretty hard to find someone in Cancun, so I can say Cancun.
Oh boy, a lot of unwanted people are coming.
Check 4,000 hotels in Cancun if you want to find my wedding. Best of luck. And join. If you find it, you can join. That's a
nice proposition.
Yeah, no one's gonna find it. But wedding on Sunday while we face the Arizona Cardinals. So we're doing an early kind of preview pod here, early in the week for this divisional matchup. And George, let's hit the intro and let's talk. You're listening to the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother, George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports. Now let's get this party started.
We have an exciting game. The Cardinals currently, George, are the best team in the NFC West, surprisingly. To most. I mean, I thought they were going to be pretty good. Most people didn't, but Kyler Murray is back to being Kyler Murray. So this is going to be a big test for the Seahawks. I feel like, when you play a divisional opponent, it's always hard. We lost to the Rams, another good quarterback in Matt Stafford. This is another big test for the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's a huge test and a very, very devious Arizona Cardinals team. And I say that because they're sneaky good. And they have beat the 49ers. Kyler Murray, we all know what Kyler Murray is. If we have him running around and we're trying to chase him all game, that's just going to make the defense really tired and really hard for us to win the game. So, I know the key to the game, obviously, with the Arizona Cardinals is kind of controlling both Kyler Murray and James Conner, who's actually having a great season as well.
I was going to say, it's their offense. I know their defense has actually been a lot better. I don't think they gave up like a second half touchdown or they didn't give up a touchdown for like 14 straight quarters or something like that. But like you said, it's essentially their run game when it comes to Conner and Murray. And then of course, just Murray in general. But that's, their biggest threat in general is the run game because of Kyler Murray too. I think it obviously clearly helps James Conner that you have a quarterback that every play has to be watched and have a linebacker spy all over him, because whether it's a pass or a run, there's running available on that play, and that's what makes it hard to face this Arizona Cardinals team. And my biggest hope when we look at this game is, hey, Mike McDonald's defense, and he's the defensive guru guy, that's why I got hired, shows up big, just like they did against the 49ers. They looked very good against the 49ers defensively, shows up big, and we can say, hey, like, he even had a game plan for Kyler Murray and slowed him down. That's what's going to win the game or lose the game. Because if Kyler gets his way, they're most likely winning that game.
Yeah, and if you go back to even the Rams game, our defense played pretty good up until the overtime when we gave up that huge pass. But overall, versus Kupp and Nakua and Kyren Williams and Matt Stafford, a lot of big names. Which, by the way, this NFC West, like, not talked about enough about the weapons in the NFC West. If you go team by team, each one of those teams has weapons that are, including the Seahawks, that are really hard to stop. We've done a pretty good job.
Insanely good receivers and running backs.
Yeah, and it's honestly, overall, done a really good job, except during that San Francisco game, the first one where Deebo Samuels went crazy on us.
Well, I think what's weird about the NFC West is, most people are looking at it as like, oh, look at that conference, right? The leading team 6-4, everyone else is like 5-5. But I do think it plays a role into, like, also the conference is not easy. I mean, if it was filled with bad teams, there'd be a team sitting there right now at like 7-3 or 8-2.
Right.
I think the hard part is, you have a team like the Rams that you can win or lose to any given week. The 49ers, we've won one, lost one. The Cardinals, we play them twice in 3 weeks. You could lose or win. I don't think there's anybody that's head and shoulders above anybody else in this conference, which is why the records are balancing out so much. And obviously they're not as, maybe they're not as good as right now the Eagles or the Washington or Kansas City or Buffalo, whatever. Yes, we don't have I don't think there's a clear Super Bowl contender, obviously, in the NFC West right now. But the balance is a big reason into why, we're looking at a conference with a bunch of 6-4, 5-5s, because it's more balanced than you think. Every team has a solid quarterback. Every team has a okay defense. Every team has solid receivers, solid running backs. And we all know how conference games go. They're hard, right? Coaches know each other. I know for us, maybe it's a little different. We're having a new coach this year, but these teams know most of the personnel. They have a lot of tape on each other. So the NFC West is not as bad as people make it out to be. There's no great team, but it's just a lot of talent and a lot of teams that are head to head, like kind of the same team. And I think that's what's going to be interesting these next 3 weeks. Do we beat the Cardinals twice? Do we lose twice? Do we split? I think it's going to tell us a lot about how balanced the division is, or maybe the Cardinals are just better than everyone, which the record indicates right now.
Yeah. And I do want to take a moment out of this pod to remind for the people watching on YouTube, Sammy, what did the Seahawks do on Sunday?
They won.
So why is your good vibes light off?
Just long day. I have something unplugged from the wall for my packing for 15 days. So it's not going on.
And there are good vibes with the Seattle Seahawks right now, even though Sammy's lights are off. But there's still good.
But it's still a good vibe. I mean, here's the thing. We can look at a couple things, right? Devin Witherspoon's playing well. You have Ernest Jones, since he came to the defense, has had phenomenal games.
Even though his PFF grade was really bad, which sometimes goes to indicate like your PFF grades shouldn't like always dictate how you actually played.
Yeah, PFF grades can be. I think PFF grades are really fun when somebody had a phenomenal game, like JSN. He was number 1 in PFF grades, and it's fun to look at when someone's really bad, and you want to, when Anthony Bradford and Stone Forsythe were the 2 worst offensive linemen in football by the eye test. When you saw it also on PFF, you're like, okay, they are the worst.
Yeah, they are. Like, there you are.
They're as bad as we saw. But sometimes PFF doesn't take into account a lot of things. I actually saw something Deion Sanders said that I think is kind of interesting that plays into this.
The future Dallas Cowboys head coach, Deion Sanders?
Maybe. I don't think it's going to happen. But what was important is he was talking, a reporter asked him, like, oh, Travis Hunter, some people are trying to say he can't be the Heisman because he doesn't have very many tackles on the season. And Deion Sanders was like, let me explain something to you. If you're a defensive back and you have a lot of tackles, that means you gave up a lot of catches probably. So sometimes the numbers, it's okay if you don't have very many tackles. Most of his tackles come from run support. If he has less tackles because people aren't getting catches on him, that's a good thing. So sometimes the PFF grades or grading in general or statistics in general in football, especially on the defensive side, don't necessarily, play out exactly on paper the way some people want them to play.
Very well said.
Ernest Jones has been playing good. Devin Witherspoon's been playing good. We obviously have the talent on offense. Gino Smith's been a roller coaster ride, right? Good possessions, bad possessions. But the good vibes right now, I think, are pretty simply based on the fact that we beat the 49ers. I mean, that's like, if the Seahawks played bad the rest of the year, George, it's kind of the Super Bowl for the Seahawks this year. It's the shutting down that Gino Smith acted like it was a Super Bowl because he hasn't beat him in his career. And it does mean a lot to always beat your rivals, and especially in a season where things were starting to free fall. It meant a lot to the Seahawks.
It meant a lot. And I mean, even Gino Smith said, what they said, like, what does it feel like winning your first game against the Seahawks or against the 49ers or something like that? He goes, well, my 0-5 record, I took it personal. And yeah, you should. When you can't beat a team and they're especially a division rival and they beat you over and over again, you got a little chip on your shoulder. And that's what Gino Smith had. And, I do want to give a lot of credit to Gino.
I'm going to fix the quote for a second. It's very personal, not
very personal.
It was before the game, but.
Yeah, but the thing is, I want to give some credit to Gino here. When things are going good, his swag is off the charts. Like, when he's like rolling up and down the field, he looks so good. And honestly, when it's time at the end of a game that we need a touchdown or need to get into field goal range or do something to get points on the board, I have a lot of confidence in Geno Smith at end of games to make a game-winning drive, game-tying drive, or at least get us in a position to kick a field goal. I have a ton of confidence in him. And that's something you can't say about a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I think Gino has this weird trait of being sometimes better when his back's against the wall. And I think that also plays into a role of how offensive coordinators need to use him. And I think we talked about this last year a lot, I feel like. And you see Ryan Grubb working on it a little more this year, but Gino's a lot better when it's like, no huddle offenses, get moving, need to score a touchdown before the end of the half, need to score a touchdown before the end of the quarter. I feel like he's just a better off quarterback when there's a time crunch, when it's free flowing, like all on the line, just go get something done. He's a lot better in those type of scenarios,
He really
those
is.
moments, than when it's just like the middle of the second quarter and the flow of an offense with a balanced run game and this and that. He has this, ability to, okay, we have this 2-minute drill. He's very good at the 2-minute drill. It's a good way to put it. And saying like, let's run downfield and score, which, usually should translate to being good in any situation. But he has a unique ability, like you said, where you can trust him kind of in these clutch moments. When it's, it's like the opposite of a lot of like quarterbacks when, you look at a lot of quarterbacks, especially like maybe young quarterbacks, where it's, they're really good when the offense is balanced, like the Bears this week. Caleb Williams looked a lot better when they fired Shane Waldron and they had a balanced offense, running and passing, drove him downfield, a little more calm. Gino's like weirdly the opposite. Like things are going calm and well. He's like, I'm not going to be very good right now. Then it's like, oh, you threw 3 picks. Now you're down 7. You got to go score to take it overtime against the Rams. He's like, yeah, I can do that drive. Like that's
easy. And I love that about Geno Smith. He's like the irrational confidence guy sometimes, which sometimes you need to be an elite athlete, and that's what he is.
But it doesn't come out in a negative way in big moments. Like Jameis Winston, as much as we love him, has that, I'm going to throw a pick right here in a big moment. Gino like throws picks like in the middle of the game where it's not that important. And then I feel like last drive, he's like, I can go score right now. And I'm not.
He's almost like, all right, it's time to concentrate now.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't, and it's credit to him though. I mean, at that, you in a lot of scenarios, that's the quarterback you want. Obviously you want some balance, but in a lot of scenarios, you want the guy that if the team can keep you in the game, the defense can keep you in the game, which is the type of team I think Mike McDonald's trying to build is, can the defense hold a team like the 49ers to 14 to 17 points? If yes, Geno Smith can take us on a game-winning drive. And we should have beat the Rams probably. And we'd be looking at a very different scenario right now. And we'd be talking about a team tied for first place rather than 5-5. And we'd be talking, I think people would be a lot higher on Geno Smith, a lot higher on Mike McDonald. It's just been one of those years where there's been a few mistakes that have been taking us a little below where we're supposed to be. But overall, we talked about it last week that the season was on the line and they came out, and now we have another week where season's going to be on the line for a couple weeks. And I'm just glad that we have a guy like Gino that can go score at the end of the game like that and keep us in these scenarios, right? Where the season's kind of on the line. Because a loss last week, we would have been sitting at 4-6 and we're 2 games back of the Cardinals and we like can't win a division game. We'd be looking at things way differently than we are today.
Yeah, now we're looking forward to this Arizona game and looking forward to playing them 2 times in 3 weeks, kind of stacked up in it with the Jets in between, who are just free falling, right? Like in the
dumpster
Jets,
fire.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is just not a good quarterback anymore. So I think in general, we just put ourselves in a really good situation where at least we are within range of getting to the top of the division. And especially if we win this game, right? Like winning this game, all of a sudden you're either in first place, depending on what the Rams do, or sitting in a position where you think you can get into first place within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And my big thing on why this 49ers win was very important is because you don't want to. I'm not saying this is what we shoot for, but you can go split with the Cardinals now and still be in a fine position if you beat the Jets as well. If you go 2-1 in the next 3 games, we're in a great position.
Which would be a 3-1 stretch in 4 games, which is great in the NFL.
Yeah. So which is like why that that game meant so much, because if we lost that 49ers game, I would have told you the only chance we have the rest of the year is probably winning 3 in a row, or at least beating both Cardinals games. We've given ourselves some leeway because the division can, and there's a high chance of it, come down to a week 18 against the Rams where you're both, I don't know, 8-8, and you're like, okay, the winner of this game takes the division. So
that'd be flexed on Sunday Night Football, probably.
it would, but obviously it depends what the 49ers and the Cardinals do. I'm just saying we've put ourselves in a situation now where we're back to having the possibility of being a team in week 18, fighting for a playoff spot or fighting for the division, whatever it may be. Because I'm guessing at this point in the season, it looks like one NFC West team will come out. But it was cool. I'm feeling all right though about this game. I think, just to sum up some of this is, we talked about slowing down Murray and slowing down James Conner and everything, but I also think, this is a division filled with young coaches. The Cardinals now have a young up-and-coming coach who's helped them turn around really quickly. I would love to see Mike McDonald, come back-to-back weeks with a win against Shanahan and Gannon. I mean,
that'd be beautiful.
Sometimes in the division too, there's some head games, I feel like, if you start losing to a coach. I mean, the Seahawks can't beat Shanahan for the last 3 years.
Right.
So winning against Gannon in his first game against the Cardinals would be a nice touch right after beating Shanahan. And then all we have left is to beat McVay. And if you can get a win or two against every team in the division, at least you don't feel like you're behind on the coaching scale or on the building scale of the team.
Right.
Which is like a big part for me for this week, because you can't just look at win and losses only, right? There's other future implications and whatever. This is the beginning of a journey. So I'd love to see that win against Gannon too. But we didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, just seeing us play so well off the bye week was a huge, huge bonus.
Yeah, that was nice, because a lot of times you can relate that to coaching, right?
Exactly.
Like, we had 2 weeks to prepare. I prepared the team well enough, and here we are with a win against the 49ers, and time to go play the Cardinals, which, we'll be slacking on our social media for the first time ever on a Seahawks Sunday. I'll be getting married and George is my best man, but we'll be back on Monday morning, probably throwing out some tweets about it.
Yeah, we'll see how much content we can actually get out there. It's not going to be very possible, so bear with us.
Did you say somebody wants to do it for us? Is that what you're asking?
If someone wants to do it for us, reach out to us. Really, we would highly appreciate it.
We can make somebody an admin for one day on the Twitter account, possibly. We have to vet.
Might need to vet them out first.
Yeah,
but
make sure you won't do anything crazy. But hit us up if you have some qualifications, if you want to cover for us on Sunday. I'm excited. Hopefully we get that dub. And George, want to tell them about our sponsor really quick?
Yeah, before I do that, I just want to say one more time, I am excited for your wedding, Sammy. That's more exciting than the Arizona Cardinals and Seahawks game. Even though I do love the Seahawks, I'm really happy to see my brother get married, me be the best man. It's going to be great. And sure, we won't be watching the Seahawks, but the Seahawks, well, you guys will be in our hearts.
You better get a win, though. I ain't trying to get a message from my friend halfway through the wedding like, hey, buddy, they lost. I'm trying to get should we take a shot? They won. That's what I want to feel in the middle of the wedding.
Yeah, I'll check once in a while and keep you updated whenever I can.
Come on, Seahawks. Well, actually, George, I do have a break from 6 to 7, which will probably be, that's 4-ish here. So it'll probably be right in the fourth quarter. There's a high chance that we're back for the fourth quarter on Twitter for a 30-minute span.
Take care of your wife to be, and don't worry too much.
Take care of her. She'd be doing her hair for the second half. I literally have a break.
Cool.
In my itinerary that I have a break from like 6 to 6:45, which would be like,
man, that's fair.
Might be a time for some Seahawks tweets to be fired off.
All right,
just
perfect.
A couple. Hell yeah! Back to my wedding. Quick live stream, George. Me and you in a quick live stream mid wedding, taking a drink, celebrating a Seahawks win for.
That'd be cool.
4 minutes. Yeah. Stay tuned. Turn on the subscribe and bell button, because that could be happening.
Yeah, keep your notifications on.
Could happen, could not. You never know. Not a predictable week.
Just like the Arizona Cardinals offense.
Yeah. Well, their offense has been fine. Their defense has not been very predictable.
I mean, kind of. Now, lately, yeah, but beginning of a season, they would come out hot in the first half and then disappear for a while. But now they're good.
Don't be talking bad about them, bro. We don't even know if we can beat them yet.
Exactly. We'll see.
They're a good team. I'm telling you. They're a good team. It's going to be tough, but
I'll tell people about our sponsor now. All right, so guys, if you want to bet on sports in Washington State and 46 of other 50 states here in the United States of America, you can use the Rebet app. The Rebet app is the first sports book that's a social sports book, so you can add friends, see what they're betting, and you can use Rebet Cash. And if you win the Rebet Cash, you can redeem it to regular cash. They're giving out up to $100 bonus on your first deposit, but make sure you use promo code ONTAP to get that $100 bonus. They'll deposit match that. So if you put in 100, they'll give you 100. You put in 50, they'll give you 50. That's the Rebet app. And you can go bet on the Seattle Seahawks and Arizona Cardinals game.
$10 minimum. Make sure you put $10 at least. If you put like $2, they're not going to give you a $2 free bet. But
yeah,
if you put 10, they'll give you 10. So make sure you check that out. And if you're in any other states, we also have links to Underdog, Caesar Sportsbook, a couple other things. They're in the links in the description. You can just click the link below and it'll take you to a link, and you put your state that you're living in, and it'll tell you what's available there using our promo codes. So if you want to support us, check those out, make a deposit, sign up, and bet on the Seahawks, because why not? Let's go get another win. Doesn't hurt. Well, George, final prediction.
Seahawks 21, Cardinals 17.
Low scoring. Man, I'm just going to predict a win because that's what I want on my wedding day. I think if it wasn't my wedding day, I might be a little more pessimistic and say we'd win. We're going to win in Arizona a couple weeks from now, and we're going to lose at home. I just feel like that always happens. But those games are always funky. You're right. Seahawks Cardinal games always seem to be funky. So
they really
I'm going to go with like 14-19 Seahawks.
Okay, that's a cool number.
14-19 Seahawks. How's that feel? Let's
Lovely.
get it done. We'll be back next time. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe and support us in any way possible. It means the world to us. And we'll be back after my wedding, most likely. So, well, next time you see me, I'll have a ring on and be a married man. So that's crazy. Much love. And George, you know what we like to say.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank y'all. You're listening to the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother, George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports.